At first glance, Jimin appears to be a gentle soul, gracious, graceful, and warm. But beneath the charm lies a far more intricate design, a soul built for contrast. His chart is a symphony of harmony-seeking placements in constant conversation with intense, erratic, and often painful emotional undercurrents. It's this inner complexity that fans sense and are drawn to, whether they can name it or not. Sun in Libra, 4th house, a soul shaped by inner harmony and hidden tension. Jimin's Sun in Libra in the 4th house shows a man deeply shaped by private life, emotional safety, and the need to create a harmonious inner world. Jimin isn't someone who craves the spotlight for its own sake. He needs his art, his relationships, and his home to feel like safe, beautiful containers for the chaos of life. But the quincunx to Saturn in Pisces, within 1 degree, introduces an unrelenting emotional dissonance, the pressure to be good, to stay within emotional boundaries, to keep it all together. It's as if a part of him believes that love and acceptance are earned only through restraint or self-denial. Fans may witness his poise but not realize it's born from emotional labor and early experiences of having to grow up too fast. This is compounded by his Sun square Neptune, which can cloud his identity and fuel uncertainty. There's a dream of being the perfect son, artist, or partner, but the reality rarely matches the vision. He may overgive, people-please, or dissolve himself in relationships, only to feel unseen or misunderstood. Sun square Uranus, with Uranus pressing up against the 7th house cusp, electrifies this further. Jimin deeply desires connection, but fears losing himself in it. Relationships excite and destabilize him at the same time. He wants freedom and closeness, consistency and surprise, but they rarely arrive together. That tension gets internalized. His inner world becomes the battleground for those opposing needs. Mercury conjunct Chiron, the voice that tries to heal. In Libra in the 3rd house, Mercury conjunct Chiron reveals a wound in communication. Jimin likely struggles with the burden of always trying to say it nicely, to balance perspectives, to maintain peace, even when his own truth is sacrificed. This wound likely began early, perhaps not being heard as a child, or being told he was too much or not enough when expressing himself. Now it expresses in subtle ways, hesitating before speaking up, staying quiet when he wants to push back, or fearing that his truth might disrupt the equilibrium he's constantly working to maintain. The flip side, he can become an incredibly empathetic listener, someone who gives voice to those who can't speak, especially through his art. Moon in Gemini, 11th house, the friend, the performer, the observer. Jimin's moon in Gemini is light-footed and quick, emotionally agile, adaptable, and mentally sharp. Gemini is an air sign, and when the moon is in Gemini, emotions are often processed intellectually or expressed verbally, rather than deeply felt and embodied in the moment. This can give the impression that he is very expressive, witty, charming, and communicative, but his emotions change quickly. The emotional experience becomes more about understanding or describing feelings than inhabiting them fully. The trine to his Sun shows his core identity and emotional world are harmonized. He feels internally congruent. But the square to Saturn suggests emotional suppression. He may feel ashamed of his emotional needs, or that his feelings are too inconvenient for others. Saturn in conflict with the moon typically describes a person who tries to contain their feelings, doubts their own emotional validity, or feels a responsibility to remain composed, even when emotionally overwhelmed. So, while Jimin may express himself beautifully, there's an inner part that is quietly censoring or doubting his right to fully feel what he feels. This can lead to internal pressure to stay cheerful and emotionally unburdensome. The opposition to Jupiter paints another layer: emotional highs and lows, sometimes exaggerated feelings, or a push-pull between rationalizing emotions and being swept away by them. There's a big heart here, but it sometimes struggles to know when and how to open. Importantly, this Gemini moon rules his Cancer ascendant, making this part of him integral to his identity and how he shows up in the world. Mars-Pluto in Scorpio, 5th house. Power, passion, and performance. One of the most compelling parts of Jimin's chart is the Mars-Pluto conjunction in Scorpio in the house of creativity and romance. This placement gives him deep, penetrating emotional power, especially in performance. When he dances, it's not just movement, it's ritual. His presence on stage is fierce, raw, and emotionally alive. In love and sexuality, this is a deeply magnetic placement. He may oscillate between intensity and control, wanting to possess and be possessed. Mars trine Saturn offers emotional discipline and a channel for his intense energy, while sextiles from Uranus and Neptune add spiritual awareness and erotic unpredictability. Jimin's masculinity isn't loud, it's magnetic. He doesn't perform strength, and his presence doesn't demand attention, it pulls you into his depth. The trine from Mars to his Cancer ascendant makes his assertive energy feel natural. He can be both gentle and intense, emotionally vulnerable and erotically empowered. This gives him a dynamic allure, someone who leads from the heart but never hides his edge. Venus in Scorpio, beauty as devotion and risk. His Venus in Scorpio intensifies the anima, his inner feminine. This Venus is magnetic, alluring, deeply loving, and prone to emotional intensity in relationships. He doesn't take love lightly. When he gives all of himself. But Venus square to Uranus and the square to his ascendant suggest volatility. Love can feel destabilizing. The 7th house rules long-term partnerships, the other, and what we unconsciously project onto significant relationships. In Jimin's chart, his Capricorn on the 7th cusp shows he projects qualities like maturity, emotional restraint, responsibility, ambition onto others. He may seek partners who appear more grounded, stable, or emotionally composed than he feels himself. But Uranus conjunct the descendant disrupts and electrifies this. His relationships are marked by a craving for freedom, space, or unconventional arrangements. This also shows an attraction to emotionally unavailable or unpredictable partners. Part of him longs for a serious, safe, anchored bond, yet another part fears being trapped or losing individuality. And so he unconsciously chooses people or situations that keep love unstable. This Uranus on the 7th cusp also animates his Venus-Uranus square, intensifying a tendency to be both addicted to and afraid of love's intensity. At times, he may crave depth and soul merging, while simultaneously fearing abandonment or emotional chaos, loss of control. Venus square Uranus can also point to a highly individualized expression of femininity within him. He doesn't conform to gender norms. His anima is electric, seductive, but also fiercely independent. This likely informs his fluid sense of identity, appeal, and performance. Fans adore how he can channel both softness and edge, yin and yang, all at once. The soul's arc, becoming his own anchor. With a chart shaped by contradictions, harmony versus rebellion, intimacy versus freedom, devotion versus distance, Jimin's soul path is one of integration. He is here to learn that, 1. He doesn't have to lose himself to be loved. 2. He can speak truth even if it disrupts the peace. 3. He can lead with both softness and strength. The Sun quincunx Saturn reflects a quiet battle between his inner child and inner authority. His growth comes through reconciling those voices, offering his inner self both permission and protection. As he matures, he'll likely become a mentor to others who carry similar wounds, especially in love, identity, and expression. Jimin doesn't just perform, he feels. Every gesture is poetry. Every smile holds contradiction. His energy speaks to those who've had to be strong and soft at the same time. Fans see themselves in him, in his effort to stay composed when feelings flood in, and in his art, which alchemizes pain into beauty.